Hey, what's up, Liron here. Today I'm going to share with you how I painted my largest painting to date for a commission I'm very grateful to have been working on. Let's get to it. So I've been contacted by this wonderful client to design a painting that will fit their space and going to be mostly horizontally oriented. The first steps I took was to do a preparatory painting. I started with a painting that was quite loose just to get a feel for the scene, for the color combinations, for how it would work. Often, when I work on paintings that are huge, that are going to be a serious undertaking, whether it's going to be a week or 2 weeks of work or 2 months, like happened in this case, I take some time to work on them, make sure that I know what I'm getting myself into. This is not to draw up an accurate plan or anything like that, but rather to know what I'm getting into and how I'm going to handle it. And it immediately tells me the colors you chose are all messed up. Go for something else. The composition doesn't work. Something drastic has to change. Now, after I did that first more rough of a sketch, I then proceeded to make a sketch that's more accurate, a painting that is more to the end result. But funny enough, what you'll often find is that initial sketch that was way looser, way more direct, has a magical quality that is hard to recreate. And what I can say is I definitely like the level of details in the second painting, but I prefer the colors used in the first painting. So in a way, both of these informed my decisions on how I'm going to paint the huge thing. Let's go back to that day in time about 2.5, 3 months ago where I got started on this one. Hey, Liron here. I have gloves on. This is the beginning of a new project. Let me show you. By the way, are you familiar with this painting? I like it a lot. Let me show you. So I'm gonna start working on a big commission I'm super grateful for. The only way I can actually cut the paper and spread it as big as I need it to be is just by placing this measuring tape on the floor and rolling it out. I'm gonna put a weight on it and then cut it to size. It's gonna be 2.5/1 meters. So I got the measurement, marked the spot, marked the line. Now I'm gonna cut it. The reason I have gloves on is I don't wanna make the paper oily. The more you handle it, the more danger you run into. Then when you're gonna do your wash, you're gonna get weird prints and uneven marks on it. This is why I'm doing it. Normally I wouldn't if it's a small piece of paper, but because I know I'm gonna be opening the paper, unrolling it, rolling it multiple times, I wanna make sure I don't leave any marks. This is a project I'm really excited about. So this is 2.5 meters over 120 centimeters because that's the dimensions of the roll as it comes. I'm gonna reverse the direction of the roll so that it flattens. Once it flattens, I'm gonna cut the other 20 centimeters off to make it exactly 2.5/1. Well, it's projection time, so now it's time to align this thing. It's gonna take me a couple of moments, but we'll get there. And then I have to sketch it out based on what I'm seeing. So here's the final sketch after the projection. And I then went ahead and added more details to it to make it denser, because I really need all of these details to make sure there's enough there for this size of a painting. I also ran through like 5 or 6 of these pencil lids. But in any case, now it's painting time. When it comes to the painting stage, I actually like to take things quite slowly if I can, especially when it's this involved of a painting. I like to really take my time with each detail. And you see how the more of these details accumulate, the more and more the image makes sense. I don't have a preconceived work order. I may start light to dark, dark to light. Usually, I'll start with the thing I have the most clarity about. I'll always look for what's the next thing I feel confident painting and just let that lead me. And the more the painting develops, the more the impression is there. That stage where you're uncertain of things connecting is just a little longer because we're talking about such a huge painting that things take time to fall into context. But indeed, once they do, you're left with something beautiful. And here's where I'm currently at with the process. Now, due to its very elusive nature and the magnitude, I didn't film much video of it. So what you're seeing here is some of the only real footage I have. You'll see a bit of it more later on, but this is most of what I got. And it shows you how when I choose to focus on a detail, I go at it. You know, I will edit the wash as much as I can while it's still wet. I'll continue adding to it, making wet in wet, making it darker, stretching it out to be as dark as I possibly can in one go, if possible. I would like to avoid overwork, but generally speaking, you don't have that big of an issue with it when you paint this large, because the whole thing will be viewed in the overall context in any case. But once you zoom in after a while of working up close, you really get to see the beauty. Now, the water has actually been the most challenging part of this painting because I wanted to get the balance just right. They don't need to overpower the rocks, they need to enhance them and make them pop. And they are also an important background to them because without a bit of a darker water, the highlights on the rocks will have no meaning. And from a technical standpoint, it was a large area to paint, which made it even more challenging. So I just want to add a personal note while we're at it with the painting process. This has been, as you might realize from my previous video, one of the hardest years of my life, and this also comes into play in the business side of things and how many sales there are, how business is going. And I do have to mention this commission came to me like a blessing, and it gave me a lot of hope that this year will end on a nice note and will feel quite good, and I will feel quite confident in what I'm doing. So thank you so much to the client. And by the way, thank you so much to everyone who's watching my videos, who's liking, commenting, leaving their thoughts. I really appreciate it. So what you're seeing here is almost the final result. I do have some details to add, some foliage, some flags. It's really a fun process that came to a kind of a nice crescendo with the addition of these final details, and the result I think will speak for itself. I unfortunately didn't have, again, a lot of videos of the process, but I did try to document it as best as I can, and well, here it is. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed joining me in on this process, and hopefully we'll break that record as well in the future. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.